I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. As promised, today's video is about the zero, number zero, the most beautiful number, the perfect number, number zero. As you know, my videos are about love, infinity, creation, energy, because we're infinite love, infinite energy, infinite creation. And because we're energy and energy created us, the proof is in the pudding, the human heartbeat, it generates the electromagnetic field of creation that powers the human body, so we're conscious and self-aware, we're sentient, we can think, we are who we are as a result, beautiful creators. So I want to talk about that today. It's a mathematical video, has a lot of physics in it, a lot of interesting notions, all based on objective reality. They're all truth. So let's dive into this, and the video is called Zero. Okay, it's zero. You can refer to it on the website and on Substack and YouTube. This is a very important video, a very special video for me. It's been a long time coming, and the time has arrived for me to talk to the world about what the nature of zero is, and why zero is infinity, and what it means, and all these beautiful things that I've been sharing with you because the time has come. Okay, so this is obviously refer to it on y.house/0. That's y.house/0. It's on the website, it's on Substack, and it's on YouTube. Now I'm just gonna talk about it. Alrighty. So the polarity of zero, energy charge of zero, because in the end we're energy, we're infinite energy, we're infinite creation. This is who we are, this is what we are. We're infinite creation, we're infinite energy, this is what we are, we're infinite love. And this video is exactly about that. It's exactly about who we are, our nature, where we come from a mathematical expression, so we can actually map it out and understand it, who we are, this beautiful singularity that we all are, the human heartbeat, the pulse of life, the pulse of creation, that generates the electromagnetic field of life, the electromagnetic field of creation, powering the human body so we can exist. Because this is who we are, we live to love and we love to live, because we love with our hearts, and the heartbeat happens at the heart. So our primordial instinct to live, to exist, is the human heartbeat. Without it, we wouldn't exist. And then what happens as a result? Well, all systems go live because of the electromagnetic field of creation, the light spherical being that we are. And because of that, we're conscious and self-aware, and most importantly, sentient, which is love and emotions. And love comes from the heart. Love comes from the heart. And what happens at the heart? Life happens at the heart. So then again, love is life, life is creation, and love is creation because love is energy. It can be measured at the lab with tools and equipment. It's the highest frequency that the human heart can generate. So obviously, high energy, high creation. We not look at the sun, it creates this beautiful reality we all part of, and it's a lot of energy, very high density, very high energy. So then again, if that is the case, then we create with our love, which is the highest energy, and we create the most beautiful things. We make love, we have children, and then our instinct is to love our children, Then we love our creation. Life goes into self-perpetuity, to infinity. Our children then do the same, love themselves, love their creations, have children of their own. And this is a cycle that never ends, because this is who we are, we're conscious and self-aware. This is our nature. We're a benevolent species, we're a heartful species, a love-based species, a heart-based species. This is who we are. We live to love and we love to live. We are here to love. The purpose of life is a life of purpose, purposeful life, meaningful life, fulfilling life, a life full of happiness and joy. This is why we are here. This is why we are here. And because we're energy, as I described, energy is creation, creation is life, and life is love. So we need to understand what life is and where it comes from, mathematically speaking, because a mathematic is expression of reality and energy is reality. So energy has an expression in a numerical form, and we call this physics. We call this physics. This mathematical expression of energy, we call it physics, and it's all the studies of the motions of everything. And mathematics is this science, is these numbers, is the measurement of it, is how we calculate and we make sense of things numerically. So we can actually have proofs, theorems, and axioms that are actually valid based on objective reality and truth. And then in that way, we can make sense of reality in a numerical way as an expression of existence itself, which is geometrical in nature, is geometric energy, is spherical energy. And then we can get numbers as an expression of that. And because creation itself is spherical in nature, I have discussed this in my previous video, creators, and the proof is there, the proof is in the pudding. And then I have spoken a lot about it at length. I just want to now share the actual mathematical equation. The mathematical equation of singularity, the mathematical equation of reality itself, what we see, what happens, who we are, the pulse of life, the pulse of creation, singularity itself, that is replicable at all scales of creation, because infinity itself has a physical form, it's a geometry, and it's the sphere. And the sphere is obviously its energy, its polarization, its electromagnetism, and and creation itself is replicated in that way. Please refer to my previous video. But then again, it's numerical too, because geometry has a numerical expression, because this is how we measure the nature of geometry, the volume of it, its dimensions, its angles, everything that has to do with geometry, we need to measure it to understand it, and so its attributes, its properties, its qualities, its values. And the way we do this is with numbers. Numbers is this is what we use, is the language of numbers. This is the value that we use to express the language of geometry, which is creation itself, because creation is geometry and creation is energy. So the nature of creation itself is geometric energy in the form and the shape of a sphere. Is spherical energy. Okay, this is what it is. So let's talk about it mathematically then. So what is it? What's the origin? Because remember, creation is the origin, is the genesis, is where we come from. Hey, creation created us, so we exist. So it came before us, so it's the origin, is the beginning. It's the beginning of everything. So then again, it has to be the beginning, eh? Because it came before us. So then again, what's the number that signifies the beginning of all numbers? It's number 0. It's the first number. It's the most important number, because existence comes out of 0. Why? Because the 0 is a circle. It's a line that never ends, and it represents infinity in its most simple and beautiful way, because it's spherical, just like the 0. It's just like the sphere. It's a circle. The 0 is a circle. That's what it is, representing infinity itself at a numerical, in a numerical sense, in a numerical value, that we give value and meaning to it, because it's the beginning. Everything comes out of the 0. It's the first number, and in geometry it can be explained as, that figure, the circle. And then in geometry, we can divide the 0 into infinity. You can divide a figure into infinity. This is very basic. You can do this with a compass in a very simple way, and then you would get an infinite number of figures, geometric figures, out of the circle, which is the 0. And then in that way, that's how the ancient Greek thought of numbers. They thought in Euclidean geometry and mathematics is all about these, and Platonic solids is all about these. The ancients were very intelligent, wiser in many ways than we are, because they thought geometrically. They were hypergeometric in motion, in nature. Their thinking was hypergeometrical, because they thought of reality in figures, shapes, and forms. that were geometrical, rather than numbers as we do on counting and measurement. So that's why we are having a hard time at times understanding our reality, because we think of reality in an abstract way, numerically speaking, rather than in an actual way, which is based on objective reality, which is figures and forms and geometry, because this is what we are. Numbers come out of geometry. Geometry doesn't come out of numbers. It's the way around, because creation is geometry. Okay, so let's start with the first number, the 0. As you know, it's infinity. You take any number and you divide it by 0. And it's gonna, in mathematics, we call it an indefinite result, meaning it cannot be measured, because, the logic is that you cannot divide something by nothing, because then it's an indefinite result. But in reality, 0 is not nothing. 0 is the beginning of everything. It's infinity itself, and that's why the value cannot be measured, because infinity cannot be measured, because infinity is endless. Infinity is boundless. Infinity is limitless, thus making it infinite, meaning unmeasurable. Cannot be measured. It's immeasurable because it has no end, it has no limits, it has no boundaries. It's forever, it's eternal. Thus, the 0 proves infinity by its own nature, by its own attributes, by its own qualities and properties, because when you divide any number by it, it gives you an immeasurable amount, meaning it gives you infinity itself, because the 0 is the beginning and it's the end, it's everything at once, because that's nature. Nature is spherical and the 0 is spherical, so it represents that. It's the first primal, it's the first value, it's the first number for a reason, because it's the beginning of everything. Okay, it's the beginning of everything. And then when you add a 1 to a 0, you make 10, and 10 contains all the numbers. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then again, the first number is 0 and the second number is 1. And when you put these two together, just by creating another number, you're creating all the numbers as a result, which is number 10. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the numbers that you need to create existence from a numerical point of view. Then again, out of the 0, infinity, comes 1. Identity, us, true self, the individual, and that is everything there is, because it's consciousness in a way, and it represents all the numbers within it. Then again, from the get-go, infinity is telling you the 1, the individual, the self, is infinity, because it contains all the numbers. From the 0 comes the 1. From the womb comes one individual. The womb is spherical. It's an example. So it's biology talking to you in numerical terms, in geometry of life and biology. Okay, so 0 is the first number, it's the most important number because it's existence itself. So because of it, we know that we are energy. And we are energy because we have a pulse, life, the pulse of life, the pulse of creation, which is the human heartbeat. The human heartbeat. And the human heartbeat is spherical in nature. It's an electromagnetic field that surrounds the human body, and it gives us the life that we have created us. Hey, the biological creator is the human heart. So then again, it's that singularity, that pulse, that oscillation that is self-perpetual because of electromagnetism, that it continues to happen, and then we live as a result. So then that means that if 0 is infinity, and infinity is creation, and creation is energy, that means that the number 0 itself has a polarity because it's spherical. Meaning, it has energy in it because its energy is creation itself. And what's the polarity of 0? Well, it has positive and negative nature. It has a positive and a negative nature. Right? Just like a sphere. Right? North and south, the axis of the sphere, the poles of the sphere. 0 is the same, and we can map it out in a Cartesian plane. In mathematical terms, which is what I'm going to do now, so you understand the polarity of 0. The mathematics of it from an energy point of view, so you know exactly what 0 is and what 0 represents, because 0 is energy, because 0 is infinity, is the beginning of it all. Okay, it's just the expression, the value that we have created, numerically speaking, to count infinity. to understand what infinity is as a measurement. Okay? Because infinity is spherical in nature and it's geometric, it's not numerical. Okay? It's not a computer, we're not in a simulation. Okay, so let's talk about this because this is a very good video. It's very beautiful and it has an equation and all sorts. But I'll break it down. I'll keep it simple because it's actually extremely simple. I'm just gonna make it very eloquent and simple and elegant as it can be. So then energy charge of zero, because then again polarity represents electromagnetism, motion, singularity, and it represents that the prime mover, creation itself, the first movement, the motion, gravity, all these beautiful things that are physics, observable in nature everywhere, the sun itself and all these are ourselves with our pulse. Our pulse is our singularity that gives us life. So the zero itself has its own pulse and it's based on its polarity, the polarity of number zero, okay? And this is energy, because polarity is energy, it's electromagnetism, okay? The energy charge of zero, because zero as a state has a charge like everything, but it has a powerful charge because it's the singularity, it's the beginning of it all, okay? Remember, you divide any number by zero and it gives you an infinite, an immeasurable amount of numbers. It gives you all the numbers. It gives you everything that exists. So it's indefinite, meaning it cannot be measured because it's everything at once. And it collapses the calculator and the calculator says error. Because it cannot compute infinity, because infinity cannot be computed because it's endless, it's boundless, it's limitless, it's eternal, it's forever. And zero is this beautiful number that represents infinity because zero equals infinity, infinity equals zero. Okay? So let's talk about it, the polarity of zero, the electromagnetism of zero, the energy charge of zero. So the way you think about it mathematically is using as a plane with a y and an x axis. Okay, so it's a very simple plane. You don't have to add volume to it because it's a zero. We don't have to add any volume to solidify it because if we do, we already understand it because I explained it to you and it becomes the sphere. And I did that the previous video. This is just a mathematical representation in a two-dimensional spectrum, in a two-dimensional way. So in that way, you can see it in two dimensions, y and x. So a traditional Cartesian plane, just two dimensions. But because we're talking about polarity, we're going to add the negative polarity and the positive polarity for both dimensions. So y would have a positive charge and a negative charge. So there will be y, positive y and positive and negative y. So y and minus y. And it will be the same with x. Will be the positive side of x and the positive negative side of x. So it will be minus x and x, representing the plane, the two-dimensional plane of the zero, the circle, because the zero is a circle, it's not a sphere. It is a sphere in a tridimensional way, but in a numerical sense, basic measurement and values, it represents the circle, the zero, which is 2 dimensions. And this is why I'm doing this in a two-dimensional way. And the proof is two-dimensional to prove a point, because once you have volume of it, becomes a sphere, and I already proved that in the previous video, how it works and the motions of it, which is the sphere itself and its singularity. So I'm just trying to show you the charge, the basic charge that generates the singularity, and zero then creates everything as a result, okay? And the way you do that, you need to have a charge because it's creation itself is electrical, is energy, it's electromagnetism, so you need to have the polarization, so positive and negative. So you add the polarities, okay? So let's start there. So let's understand what this is. So on the left side of the visual, if you see it, you would see that there is a basic, very basic algorithm, really, like a formula, like a theorem. Is the proof, is the action that proves the state of zero, the nature of zero. And the way you do that is by essentially calculating all its polarities, meaning its positivities and its negativities, okay? And all these different things. So because of I want to keep it simple. I only use subtraction and addition. That means plus and minus. Okay, adding and subtracting. I didn't want to addition and subtraction. I didn't want to make it complicated with like multiplication, division, and extrapolation, because then it would take too much space. So you apply the same logic to all other expressions, meaning multiplication, division, and exponentials, exponents. So then let's start there. So it starts very basic. It's very basic math because it's very basic. Infinity is simple. So then it's a very simple notion. So then it's plus 0 equals 0, right? Very basic. Why is this 0 plus 0? What is this? Well, it's just the most basic number. So you're proving a concept. I'm proving the concept. Then 0 minus 0 equals 0. So infinities cancel out into one infinity. Okay, because of polarity, because of gravity itself. Okay, because of the singularity. Then minus 0, which is a state, is the polarity of 0. It has a negative state, because remember, we're talking about the polarity of 0, the energy charge of 0 here. That proves singularity, which is creation itself. And 0 is the emergence, is the beginning of it all. Is minus 0 plus 0 equals 0, you see? It cancels out because of singularity, because of center of gravity. The negativity and the positivity come as 1, and then it equals 0 again. Then minus 0 plus minus 0, then again equals 0, because of this natural motion of, canceling out the negativity. Okay? Because of motion, because of all this polarity. As motion happens, then the negativity gets essentially discharged because of the whole electromagnetic nature of it, because it's spherical. And then it cancels out the negativity because of electromagnetic forces that come as 1. It's a polarity that comes as 1, generating the energy itself. So it cancels out everything that's not a natural state of singularity, which is 0 itself, which is what I'm trying to say is the beginning of it all is the singularity. Right? It's creation itself, is the singularity, because from it, everything comes out of it. So for everything to exist, singularity must remain. The vortex must remain for all the other angular momentums to continue in a spherical nature, so everything can be created out of it. Because if it ceases to exist, then the singularity stops and creation stops, and there is no more creation because the 0 disappeared, the center of gravity, the singularity, the event horizon stopped because it grew into something else, and the sphere gets destabilized. It's not stable enough as a geometrical, wouldn't be stable enough, and then it ceases, the motion ceases, and then energy ceases, electromagnetism ceases, which means energy ceases, life ceases. So that's why it's always 0, because it's the center of gravity. It cancels out as electromagnetic motions create other things due to electricity itself and the nature of energy, because energy creates. So 0 remains as the event horizon, as a wormhole, as the center of gravity, yes, the vortex, while everything else is being created due to spin and all these gravitational forces. Okay, that essentially I'm going to explain, because I'm going to explain why the singularity itself is self-perpetuating, and because it's this mechanism of self-perpetuation, infinity itself, then that's why it remains. 0 is the state, and everything emerges out of 0, and 0 remains as the first, as the beginning, as the primer, because it's the beginning. And if you take the beginning away, then everything else disappears, because it's the creator. All the numbers, all the creation comes out of the original point, the singularity. So if you take the singularity away, everything else collapses into nothingness because it ceases to exist. And the creation that comes out of this vortex, out of this singularity, out of this electromagnetic field, the pulse, the oscillation, in this case, if you take the human heartbeat out, then the body ceases to exist. Hey,